Loving Vincent is a biographical film which paints an intimate picture of the life of world-renowned Dutch Impressionist artist Vincent Van Gogh. The movie was directed by Dorota, Kobiela, and Hugh Welchman, who employed approximately 130 oil painters to work on the mammoth production. Dorota originally came up with the concept for Loving Vincent in the late 2000s, after becoming enamored with Vincent's artwork and studying his letters. Breakthrough Films, an animation and film studio founded by Welchman, was the primary studio responsible for the movie's production. Most of the film's funding was facilitated by the Polish Film Institute and had an overall budget of $5.5 million. Many believed that a film this labor-intensive would be impossible to achieve. However, the film was completed over the course of 6 years, making it the first fully painted feature-length film. The film responsible for the movie's production employed actors with similar likenesses to the subject of Van Gogh's paintings, and shot live-action material for the artists to reference. This was done over a green screen, and through the use of CGI and VFX, painterly backgrounds were put in their place. Douglas Booth, who was cast for the leading role of Armand, gives insight into the process during an interview with Sky News, where he says, "It's a painted animation, which means we shoot it like a normal movie. They then project every frame of the movie onto a canvas, and then artists paint over each frame in the style of Van Gogh. Artists like Sarah Wimperis would hand-paint 6 to 10 frames a day. Shots that may only live on screen for a few seconds would take months to render, and the project produced over 65,000 painted frames." Our story begins in 1891 in the southern town of Arles, France, a year after Vincent's death. Joseph Roulin, a local postman, was given a letter by Vincent's previous landlord, which the artist had written to his brother Theo. On account of his death, the letter was never delivered, and Joseph orders his son Armand to give it to the family and ensure that they receive closure. Armand reluctantly obliges and sets off on his journey, and as a result encounters a wide array of characters who were present in the later years of Vincent's life, and experiences a growing interest in the nature of Vincent's death. Julien Tanguy, also known as Père Tanguy, was a paint supplier who became friends with Vincent after he moved to Paris. Sadly, Armand's endeavors to hand the letter to Theo fall flat when Tanguy informs him that he passed away 6 months after his brother's burial. Theo had also been suffering from syphilis, and the grief of losing his older brother likely accelerated its negative impact on his health. The events of Vincent's passing become increasingly ambiguous as the plot continues, with each character having their own interpretation of what caused the artist's tragic end, the film having semblance to a historical murder mystery. Adelaine Ravoux of the Ravoux Inn, where Vincent had resided after being released from a nearby mental facility, recounted Vincent being content and preoccupied with his artwork, writing letters and reading books until the late hours of the night. Seeing Vincent return with a bullet wound in his stomach after he had been painting in the fields earlier that day came as an evident shock, particularly after he said that they had been self-inflicted. Dr. Paul Gachet, another friend of Vincent's, checked up on him, but Adelaine could sense there was tension between the two. In her book about the artist, Victoria Parkstone writes, Adelaine reported that when Dr. Gachet was called in to examine him after Vincent wounded himself with a revolver, both men behaved as if they had never met. He was in critical condition and grew weak from developing a fever, and died 2 days after the incident. Similarly to Adelaine, the boatman by the river, where Vincent often liked to paint, also noted that he didn't suspect anything was wrong, especially after seeing him and Dr. Gachet's 21-year-old daughter Marguerite taking a boat ride together. Parkstone also notes in her book that a close friend of the doctor's daughter later claimed that the painter and his model had fallen in love, and Dr. Gachet forbade Van Gogh to come to his house any longer. Marguerite's brother confirmed the story in an interview, but changed it on one critical point. He said that his sister didn't return the affection of the 37-year-old painter. Gachet conveyed major interest in Vincent's work, as he also had aspirations of becoming an artist. In spite of her reservations about opening up to him, Marguerite tells Armand about Dr. Gachet and how he was like a third brother to Vincent and Theo. He would obsessively copy Vincent's paintings for hours, and instructed Marguerite to be absent when Vincent was around, and asked her if she really wanted to be responsible for preventing masterpieces from being born. A major argument later broke out between Gachet and Vincent, where in the heat of the moment Gachet weaponizes Theo's battle with syphilis, and remarks that his financial support of Vincent was causing him life-threatening stress. Obviously, the friendship between Van Gogh and Gachet broke up soon. After July 2nd, Van Gogh stopped mentioning him in his letters. Gachet regretted saying this, but also acknowledged that Vincent was suffering from depression or melancholia, as it had previously been known. The film also delves into the possibility that Vincent's death wasn't on account of suicide, but rather that he had been murdered, with speculation of René Secretan being the perpetrator, a man who infamously bullied Vincent and was regarded for his unhinged and reckless attitude. as well as that Dr. Masary, who inspected Vincent's bullet wound, noted that the angle was too low of a shot for it to be self-inflicted, and that had it been, it would have completely gone through Vincent's body. By the end of the movie, the reason for Vincent's death was never concluded. However, Dr. Gachet sent Vincent's letter to Theo's widow. The movie employs both a chronological structure of Armand's experiences and interactions on his journey, as well as a separate series of events recording the character's memories of Vincent, as well as his childhood, life before he moved to Paris, and his explosive argument with Paul Gauguin, who he lived with in Arles. To avoid confusion between these two, the present is conveyed in color, while past events are painted in black and white. There are a couple of exceptions to this technique, such as when Armand sees Vincent on the night he severed his ear, and his memory transitions back to color. Another feature attributed to the memory sequences is that they appear more lifelike than the vibrant present events of the movie. These parts of the film, unlike the others, weren't referenced from Van Gogh's paintings, but rather photographs from that period. Hence the reason why the memory phases also tend to boil significantly less, and lack bold impressionist brushstrokes. The present sequences vary in terms of their brushwork, with some background paintings and characters looking more textured, as oil paint is applied more liberally, a technique known as impasto, to other instances where characters' skin is highly detailed and composed of small, colorful strokes. This could be due to a variety of reasons, including shifts in weather and lighting in certain scenes, along with painters trying to mirror changes in Van Gogh's art style over the course of his career. As referenced in a video on the film's official YouTube channel, there is a lot of variety of styles and techniques across Vincent's paintings, especially as in Paris, he was experimenting with new techniques. This created situations when a character from one painting would enter a painting that is done in a different style. This is often the case for our film's hero, Armand Rouland. At times the paint strokes smear to create a sense of motion, and wrinkles move around on the faces of elderly characters. Another prominent aspect of the film that reflects Van Gogh's art style is his use of color. Many scenes utilize his blue and yellow color palette, which is also reflected in Armand and Adelaine's clothing. As I mentioned earlier, the style of painting is also contingent on changes in the movie's environment. Since the film takes place in summer, the lighting in some of Van Gogh's paintings had to be adapted to suit the season. They studied and included close to 100 of Vincent's paintings for this production, including The Church at Auvers, Bedroom in Arles, and Wheatfield with Crows. The highly ambitious project rightfully gained a lot of recognition for its artistic merit, and was nominated for several prestigious awards, including the Golden Globes, the Academy Awards, and a BAFTA in 2018. Additionally, the film received a Golden Eagle for Best Foreign Language Film and Best Animation Film at the Shanghai International Film Festival. It's clear that a lot of soul was poured into this labor of love, and Dorota's persistence in making this project a reality, despite everybody's doubts, is truly admirable and a testament to what creative vision and artistry can achieve. My name is Nori Buzensky, and thank you all for listening.